Mike and Fergus, welcome to my first Super HOTShot. I'm so excited. I've been wanting to do this for years. We're in an amazing studio in London, so I can't wait for this great interview.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today.
So Mike, let's start with you. Let's start at the beginning. How are you supporting your customers today?
I think we take a very hands-on approach and a white glove approach, as you will. I mean, we're very laser focused on our product set. We have a relatively, few amount of customers, so we devote a lot of attention to them individually. And our product set is very simple. Our infrastructure is very focused, and so we're focused on our infrastructure and serving our customers. And we don't do everything just so we can really stay on mission.
So Fergus, what about your next generation of customers?
I think that's a really important challenge. I think, from a Crosslake perspective, the next generation of network really is designed and built and forecast and plan for the future for those next generations of users themselves. I think the way that we as an organization approach that is not only building a world-class team within the organization, but ensuring that we are very close and have a good understanding of our customers and clients' challenges and needs. And assuming that we delve into the detail of that in the right way, in a consultative approach, that it helps us in terms of thinking about developing and designing new infrastructure for that next generation of users. I think that's key in terms of how we've differentiated ourselves in the market by building unique pieces of digital infrastructure that are important pieces, not only today, but also for those future generations.
So I think that's very interesting. And on top of that, everyone's obviously talking about AI. Mike, how is AI going to impact your strategy?
I think it'll be an extension of what we're currently doing in our approach to the market. As Crosslake itself, we're beginning to leverage AI tools in order to make ourselves more efficient and responsive to customers. But I think AI is going to really impact our customers to a much greater extent in terms of them having demand that can fluctuate or grow much more quickly than before, and they need to ensure that they've got the services and infrastructure in place to serve their customers. And so I think from a Crosslake perspective, we just need to be very agile and responsive in terms of addressing our customers' needs very quickly to ensure that we're never the bottleneck in terms of them executing on their plans.
In some way, that's very challenging. How will you be able to do that responsibly, Fergus?
I think that's an interesting point, and I think there's two aspects to that. I think there's in terms of the environment, but also in terms of security. And we address and look at those two subjects in quite a lot of detail. From a environmental perspective, we ensure as owners and operators and builders of digital infrastructure, we ensure that we use best of class in terms of the development and equipment and how we deploy and operate the infrastructure that we build. But also on the security perspective, we also ensure that it has optimum security in terms of protecting the data that's passed across the digital infrastructure that we operate on behalf of our customers as well.
What else are you doing to support future-proof networks?
We're very well known in the industry in terms of being a developer of unique infrastructure assets. We were the first in history across Lake Ontario. We were the first across the English Channel between London and Paris in over 20 years. We continue with not only identifying but building unique long-haul opportunities, whether they're subsea or just terrestrial network infrastructure. So we're really looking at it in terms of not only expanding our footprint, but the infrastructure that we build is future-proofed for the next generation of users. And those users, it can be peaked in demand from artificial intelligence, machine learning, or the next big thing that comes along. And these cycles are shortening and becoming more and more prevalent as we think about how we facilitate the transfer and transport of data between core city locations around the world. So we're always looking at in terms of new opportunities to build a network, but obviously that's within the very internet or interconnection of networks is the important part of ensuring that the infrastructure there is going to be able to fulfill the demand for that future use. And that's really what we focus on, not just on the infrastructure layer, but also the services that we put on top of the infrastructure allows that ability for firms that are not quite knowing the traffic profiles that their application is going to drive. The services that we provide actually give the ability to scale without having committed high fixed costs attached to it, and then also be able to manage their traffic profiles and demands on top of it. So we look at it from an infrastructure perspective and then also from a service perspective as well.
If you could leave the audience watching us today with one message, what would it be, Mike?
I think with all these new technologies, you have to be a lot more responsive, and there's going to be a lot of new players in the market for the first time. And I think what we're doing is trying to really address those challenges through innovating on the services side, where we've got products like metered dark fiber, amplification as a service, that really remove a lot of the barriers to getting critical infrastructure to really rapid scaling and growth in place, making it as painless as possible, ensuring that you always have an ROI, and really allowing you to compete with very large competitors because you're using the same sort of infrastructure that they're using. So in terms of how we're innovating and trying to be responsive, it's really just being creative in terms of removing those barriers and providing that access to that new suite of customers that's emerging.
Fergus, what is the last message you want to leave the audience with?
I think my message really is about collaboration. I think as an industry, we've got closer and we work better together on an international basis. I think, ultimately, we're all responsible for building something that's going to enable improvements within our society. And I think the reality is, from a Crosslake perspective, the more that we collaborate, not just with industry partners, but also with our customers, it allows us to accelerate our ambition, but also our execution of these new infrastructure builds, but also develop and execute on the new types of services that we deploy on that infrastructure to give people a better experience, but fundamentally a better platform to continue with the acceleration of growth in this tech and specifically in the digital economy.
So Mike and Fergus, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to film this super hot shot finally. You made me a very happy woman. I've been trying to do this for many years. Thank you for a great interview, and let's do this again soon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Isabel.